This young man has a distinguished air about him, but he can't get any action until his life changes for the better when the girls take turns swallowing his hot dog to gain power. Years ago, Kazuna was just a child when his mother left him to go get milk. He wakes from this nightmare on a train to the Ataraxia Academy, a place that trains people to fight threats from another world, to which his sister, the principal, invited him. Upon arriving, he finds a Playboy magazine on the floor and picks it up for his nightly fun session. Later, his sister calls him, and while he thinks he is not worthy of entering Ataraxia Academy, she says she needs him and demands that he go to the CIC, or she will leak his browsing history. However, Kazuna gets lost on his way to the CIC, but he sees a silver-haired girl near the sea, who reminds him of a girl from his past. She confronts him, and while Kazuna tries to be polite, this girl starts talking nonsense about how he would be honored if they licked his feet, which Kazuna refuses. She introduces herself as Ein, but before they can talk more, an alarm begins to alert them of an approaching aerial attack. Ein tells Kazuna to run while she begins to have significant development in front of his eyes, but as he stays for the show, she reveals she is wearing a pilot suit. She activates her powers and goes through a Power Ranger-like transformation, her clothes turning into a heart-shaped hybrid armor, which surprises Kazuna. Suddenly, a worn-looking gander-type enemy flies towards them and pulls hidden weapons from the ground as if he were John Wick and starts shooting. But since the bullets have no effect, he flies up to the magical technology, hits it, and shoots at point-blank range. Meanwhile, the city activates its defense system against threats, while the students control the HD. Kazuna praises Ein for defeating the magical technology, but she pulls out more weapons to prepare for the next wave of enemies. She tells him to evacuate, but Kazuna wonders to himself if he should join the fight. He remembers how his mother considered his hard work useless, saying that without talent he is nothing. Suddenly, another robot appears behind him, but another pilot, Haru, saves him and scolds Kazuna for not having evacuated yet. More robots appear, but they are destroyed to pieces by another stunning blonde pilot, Julika, who teases Haru, saying she is dating Kazuna, which makes Haru blush deeply. Julika tells Haru they must quickly fight this magical technology, and Haru tells Kazuna to stop drooling and evacuate. As the well-endowed pilots fight the magical technology, a giant enemy ship appears and, although she wants to keep fighting, her hybrid count is empty, making her weak and causing her to lose her powers. As she begins to fall, Kazuna musters his courage, transforms into his heart hybrid gear, and saves her from falling. He opens his eyes and sees Ein in her fun form, and while she is unconscious, Kazuna's sister calls and tells him that to save Ein, he needs to make her emit happy sounds and react to his touch. Despite his doubts, his sister says it's plot progression or they both die. So Kazuna chooses plot progression, and with each touch on her body, her hybrid count begins to increase. Suddenly, a cannon explodes and accidentally pushes Kazuna onto Ein's piece of paradise, but with her powers combined into the rope. Seeing her hybrid count increase, the sister encourages Kazuna to go wild, and with the school's fate at stake, Kazuna does not hold back. Both begin to glow, and the sister explains that this is the Heart Hybrid, the true power of the Heart Hybrid gear. Ein looks down to see her intriguing state and throws Kazuna away, calling him a degenerate. However, she notices her hybrid count is high, making her feel light and powerful. With this, she flies and fights the magical technology again, but this time she cuts through the entire army in a swift burst. The other two girls praise her for her sudden power increase and ask what happened. Ein also wonders about it, and when she looks at Kazuna, she questions who this handsome specimen really is. As Kazuna wonders the same thing about what happened, his sister Hiri considers this mission a success and declares the Heart Hybrid as their secret weapon against the enemies, the same ones that destroyed the entire world. 15 years ago, a portal opened that connected the human world to another dimension full of monsters. Every army was defeated, leaving the world in ruins, but then the monsters disappeared. However, 6 months ago, they appeared again, and while causing even more destruction, the government and a minority of the human population evacuated to mega ocean floaters. She now announces to Ataraxia Academy that their special team, humanity's greatest hope, Amaterasu, is fighting these monsters and consists of 3 pilots, Ein, Julika, and Haru. However, after the recent incident, Hiri announces they have found a way to make their gears stronger and, as shown on the screen, through Kazuna, who will join Amaterasu to perform hot and meaningful actions for the pilots. Haru begins to pester Kazuna, demanding an explanation, but Hiri tells her it is necessary, as Kazuna's action is capable of drastically increasing the pilot's hybrid count, making them stronger. This is called Heart Hybrid, and Hiri orders every member of Amaterasu and future member to prepare their cheeks for a plotful session with Kizuna to become stronger. While everyone is panicking, Kizuna tries to explain that he is not a degenerate, but after seeing how he transforms on screen, they consider him the next big thing. The next morning, Kizuna wakes up with Ain wanting to applaud for the heart fusion, but before they start the action, Haru knocks on the door wanting to apologize for the words said to Kizuna. When she enters, she sees Ain on top of him and begins to accuse Kizuna of being a pervert. But Ain informs her that it was she who wanted his pickles, and after hearing this, both Haru and Ain transform to fight, causing the room to explode. In class, while the female students express their disagreement about Kizuna and his golden pickles, Julika defends him, saying one should not judge a book by its cover. Kizuna enters with Haru and Ain behind him, but when he meets Julika, other students warn him to keep his dirty schnitzel away from Julika. However, Julika herself steps forward and offers to shake her breasts right there in the classroom, causing a fight between the three pilots who want to achieve heart hybrid. Suddenly, another student, Sylvia, enters and tells Kizuna that Hiri wants to speak with him. Sylvia then takes him beyond the research lab, and there he sees the picture of his mother, the person who started the hybrid project, and the person who left him. Kizuna finds Hiri, who introduces him to Stephen Hawking K, and gives him a personal phone that contains the personal information of the Amaterasu members. There he can see their hybrid count, and it explains that if the count falls below 5%, he needs to sharpen his stake and get to work. Hiri tells him he will now be the captain of Amaterasu, and that the fate of the world is in his cucumber, declaring, "My time has come," and as he tries to refuse, Hiri tasks Sylvia with reporting to her about his progress with the others. Then Amaterasu goes on a mission to gather data on an island, and while Hiri warns Julika that her hybrid count is too low to fight, she assures him the island is safe. After they arrive, they collect the data, but Julika quickly pulls Kizuna away for some alone time. During the walk, while Kizuna is distracted by her plans, Julika asks him about his enemy count and he says it is 0, which shocks her to discover he is a rookie. He asks her about her own count and she replies 300, and while he thinks she is amazing, she feels the opposite. Suddenly, an enemy portal opens in front of them, while from the sky a mysterious pilot creates a force field that cuts off all communication. Julika performs a Sailor Moon-style transformation and attacks the magical technology, but when she tries to contact the other two pilots, her connection is dead. Meanwhile, both Ain and Haru are trapped in the force field, preventing them from helping Julika, who orders Kizuna to help the others, leaving her to fight alone. Although she manages to dominate the fight at first, her hybrid count drops extremely low, making her weak. A dragon appears from the portal, and after Julika tries to attack it with no effect, her body begins to fail due to the low hybrid count, causing her suit to disappear and her body to feel pain. The dragon prepares an attack, but before it can cause damage, Kizuna blocks the attack. Both are thrown far away, and Julika asks why he protected her, and he says it is because he is someone who protects Sigma in that way. He tries to make Julika escape, but accidentally touches her buttons, making her emit sounds of happiness and increasing her hybrid count. Suddenly, she begins to shine like glitter, and her body overflows with power for the heart hybrid. When Kizuna opens his eyes, he sees Julika in full power, crushing the dragon and turning it into a roasted lizard. Meanwhile, both Ain and Haru are free from the force field, and when they check on Julika, they come admiring Kizuna, stating that she did heart hybrid with him, causing jealousy in Haru and Ain. Back home, after reporting to Hiri what happened, Kizuna and Sylvia find Ain in his room, ready to be applauded. However, Julika abruptly enters asking Kizuna to have sex, making Ain jealous. Suddenly, Haru enters and upon seeing all of them, a game of hide the cucumber begins among the three. Days later, they go through training, and while Ain manages to impress Kizuna and the trainers with her power, she harshly criticizes them, saying their training dummy is designed like garbage, which offends the engineers. However, both Haru and Julika display an even higher level of strength, which everyone considers to be superior to Ain's, and this makes her jealous. Later at school, Julika goes to Kizuna and asks if he was impressed with her performance in training, and after Kizuna praises her, she asks for a reward. As a reward, they go for a walk, but she asks Kizuna if the Tokyo floater they're seeing is real, and Kizuna informs her it is a replica, since they haven't had the chance to move the real one there. She says she wants to see the real thing, and Kizuna encourages her by saying she will see it after they win the war. They go to different places and end the date at the Tokyo Tower, but Julika confesses that when she almost died on the island, she felt she wanted to experience more things in life, like love, and thanks him for saving her, as she now has the chance to do so. On the way home, Kazuna sees Haru returning from school and joins her. He praises her commitment to being part of the disciplinary committee by coming home so late, saying he likes that about her. Haru gets emotional and almost falls, but Kazuna catches her, and as they look at each other, they accidentally activate heart fusion, which means Haru is thinking about his cucumber. Suddenly, they hear loud noises coming from their house, and when they peek inside, they see Ain training. Haru adds that Ain has always trained alone, refusing to let other people join her, which made her be avoided, and she wonders why Ain is so obsessed with fighting, but this reminds Kazuna of when he first met her. Next, Kazuna asks around about Ain, but is caught by her herself. They then sit together, and while Kazuna wants to get to know her better, she offers him a sandwich, which he gladly accepts. After they finish eating, Kazuna is about to leave when she offers something more, and while Kazuna thinks of dessert, she offers him Haru's sandwich. She explains that she read about some public positions full of plot in various books and demands that he perform a heart fusion with her right that instant. She begins to take off her layers, and while he expects a pilot suit underneath, he is surprised by a pink surprise. She places his hand on her plots and confesses that she doesn't care what happens, as long as she becomes strong enough to surpass the other pilots. Kazuna agrees with this plot development, pushes her down and presses her flaps, but suddenly stops, saying they should get to know each other better first. Ain considers this impossible and runs away, and just as he is about to chase her, he receives a call from Hiri wanting to meet. So Hiri takes him to a room, and there he remembers it is the room where he had the surgery to install the core of the heart hybrid gear. Before Hiri tells him anything, he asks about Ain and everything she knows about her. Hiri says that Ain has no life record, as she was found 7 years ago in Tokyo as a nameless child. However, she has high compatibility with the gears, so Kazuna's mother, Nada, used her as a guinea pig for experiments, but this ended when Nada disappeared. Kazuna now realizes she has always been alone, and he wishes he had more time to spend with her, but Hiri informs him that they do not have time. He opens a classified file, and they show Kazuna something not meant for others to know. He sees his mother, Nada, testing a hybrid gear pilot, but during the flight, the pilot is panicking while her hybrid count is decreasing. However, Nada does not care and remotely controls the pilot to continue flying. Despite the pilot's pleas for her life, Nada forces her to fly until she runs out of hybrid count, resulting in her death. Kazuna is shocked to see this, and Hiri tells him that, as the commander of Amaterasu, he's the only one who knows the truth, that the hybrid count is actually the pilot's life force. He realizes the others have the core of their equipment installed without knowing the full truth, and he angrily asks Hiri why she continues to make them fight even knowing this. Although it hurts her after learning of it, Hiri says this is the only weapon they have against their enemies, and she is willing to go to hell for it. But they inform him that with the hybrid of his heart, he's the only person who can save them. Back home, Sylvia greets him warmly with dinner and says that if he needs anything, she will help him. He pats her head and thanks her. Meanwhile, the girls are busy with their own activities, but they all sigh, thinking of the same person, Zuna. Years ago, Nada informed her that her equipment contained a secret weapon called the Immoral Weapon, and that she could use it if her hybrid count reached a certain high level. Upon hearing this, she was envious. In the present, the city is under another attack, and while Kazuna wants to join his team, Hiri shows him the number of enemies outside and tells him to stand down. Meanwhile, the Amaterasu is at full strength, as they annihilate the airborne enemies one by one as if they were nothing. However, after seeing how much damage Roru and Julie-Cha can cause, she is more determined than any of them to win this battle, wanting to prove to herself that she is better than they are. Suddenly, a dragon reappears, and despite having only a 55% hybrid count, she goes all out and destroys the dragon to pieces. This leaves her with less than 10% hybrid count. And while Kazuna is in her ear, begging her to retreat, she charges straight for the enemy mothership. Kazuna refuses to stay behind and goes to help them, disobeying Hiri's order. Back in the battle, she approaches the ship but is hit from all directions, causing her to fall. In her consciousness, she sees Nada walking away and disappearing. When she wakes up, she sees Kazuna waiting for her. They are both in a medical lab, and he explains that the enemies are landing on shore as they speak. She tries to go back, but Kazuna stops her, showing that her hybrid count is too low to equip her gear. However, she keeps trying and begs Kazuna to let her go, stating that fighting and her gear are all she has and that if she cannot do this, she will be useless. She adds that she has nothing, no family, no memories, since all she was a test subject for Nada. She informs him that she possesses an incredibly powerful immoral weapon inside her, and that she found hope she could reach it after meeting him. She convinced herself that she needed to make him love her, though she did not know how, even after reading Playboy magazines and degenerate communities on Reddit. After listening to her talk for 20 minutes, Kizuna tells her to stop feeling sorry for herself and to believe she is worth something even without the gear and the fights. She punches at him but stops at his face, asking why he didn't transform to stop her. She takes his phone and sees that he also has a low hybrid count. Then Kizuna confesses that he was also a test subject for his mother, Nada, but after she found someone better in Ain, she replaced him, considering him useless. However, he tells Ain what Hiri told him. A person's value is not decided by their abilities, but by how they live. They both state they do not know how to live, but Kizuna invites her to find out together with him. Ain relents and asks him to perform heart hybrid with her, and he comforts her by saying he will be gentle. Then they get straight to business, touching her pancakes and stirring her pepperoni. They begin to glow as the hybrid count rises. Masmin still wants more. This time, she wants to devour his sausage, asking him to take responsibility. While Kizuna panics, Ku appears and explains that while Ain is in a feral state, he needs to take advantage and reach a higher level called hybrid climax. She begs him to take her to the clouds, and Kizuna gets to work using his gentle touches, making her release noises of happiness and delirium. Her eyes turn into hearts as she goes into a trance, but Kizuna refuses to stop, sending her to the promised land and unlocking her immoral weapon. She then returns to the battlefield, saving the others, and with her new power level, she summons her immoral weapon, Pulverizer. She connects to the weapon, and while she charges it, Kizuna buys time for her. After a few minutes, the weapon is ready, and she fires it, completely obliterating the enemies without a trace and winning the battle. They celebrate the victory, but while he is alone, she approaches him. She tells him that when he was giving her the utmost affection, she saw a memory from her past consisting of several beautiful and interesting places. As soon as she asks Kizuna to do it again, the other girls appear and envy her for being Kizuna's favorite. Meanwhile, in her office, Ka shows Hiri a video in which, during Ain's Kamehameha, a human is seen using their equipment, and Hiri wonders who that person is. Days later, after obtaining permission from Hiri, Kizuna goes to the girls' bathhouse, where he can have the place to himself. However, upon entering, he is greeted by Horu in her nude state, taking a bath. They both start to panic, and Horu transforms and blows up the entire place. They then discover that Hiri set up Kizuna to be in that situation. When Ryuru asks Hiri the reason, she explains that of all the pilots, she's the only one who has not experienced hard hybrid with Kizuna. Rora walks away, not wanting to do it, but she still remembers how he saved her, and during class, she continues to glance at him. Suddenly, Kizuna receives a call from Hiri asking him to go to a warehouse, and Hiri shows him a simulator capable of changing environments, clothes, and even mood. Kizuna realizes what it is. Hiri admits it is a love simulator designed to facilitate the hybrid process, called the Love Room. While Kizuna tries to refuse her idea, Hiri transforms into maize sand with plot steroids. As she orders him to use this room, he realizes that what she is wearing is his type. After that, Kizuna invites Julia to the Love Room, which excites her. But when he navigates the room options, he arrives at the 50 Shades room, of which Julie Cha is a fan. While she asks him to change the room to something else, Kizuna goes further and changes her clothes to match the room's aesthetic, saying the system is broken. Julisha realizes his malicious intent and goes straight for plot progression. But Kizuna presses a button and blindfolds her, further increasing her hybrid count. He starts to get excited, pinching pepperoni and shaping cakes, and continues until she can no longer hold back, causing her hybrid count to max out. After that, Kizuna goes to Roru and uses his charm to convince her to enter the love room with him. But Sylvia appears, showing her grades and asking Kizuna to praise her, which makes Rora jealous, and she leaves. The next day, the team gathers, and Hiri informs them that they have received a signal from Guam, which used to be a United States military base before being abandoned. Not knowing if the signal is sent by a friend or enemy, she assures them that she can use the pulverizer if necessary. However, Julisha remembers that her immoral weapon disappears after battle, never to be seen again. So this time, Julia wants to experience Climax Hybrid and get her own weapon, but Ain disagrees, and they start to fight over Kizuna. Later, they arrive in Guam and split up, with Kizuna pairing up with Haru. Meanwhile, Ain and Julisha find the abandoned outpost from which the signal came. Kizuna and Haru go to the city, Rororu finds a doll on the ground. They hear a survivor, but when they follow the voice, they find a girl relaxing and drinking tea. The girl tells them she is not who they are waiting for and transforms into her hybrid armor, surprising them. She introduces herself as Aldea of the Kingdom of Batlantist, or what humans would consider an inhabitant of another world. Aldea opens a portal behind her and begins to attack them. When Rororu tries to fight back, Aldea easily returns her attacks. She shifts her attention to Kazuna and launches him away. Just as she is about to annihilate Rororu, an explosion occurs, and Aine and Julia appear. They advance to attack, and Aldea tells her she is the one she was waiting for after seeing her use the pulverizer. Although Kazuna and Haru try to defeat her, Aldea feels bored, and an explosion comes from the portal. From it emerges a three-headed dragon, making Rororu remember her dark past. She becomes aggressive and goes straight for it, but her efforts do not affect the dragon's armor. The others try the same but achieve only the same result. So Kazuna orders them to retreat. While Rororu refuses, he tells her it is an order, and she obeys. Back at HQ, the team analyzes the enemy they are facing, starting with Aldea, a person from beyond the portals who has spatial distortion abilities, and the three-headed dragon, which they now classify as a high-ranking enemy. Seeing the dragon in action triggers Rora's memory, and she demands they go back and turn that lizard to ashes. Despite their best attempts to calm her, she calls them cowards and hides in her room, curled up on the floor. Kazuna is about to talk to her when he sees her room door is open, and when he looks for her, he does not find her at home. Back in Guam, while Aldea is relaxing, Rora tries to attack her but fails. She asks Aldea about the three-headed dragon's whereabouts, and Aldea feels disrespected that Rairu is more interested in the stupid lizard than in her. So, she transforms. They begin to fight, and despite Ryuru's best efforts, Aldea makes her look like a child's toy and with her spatial distortion powers, traps her in a spatial prison. She begins to twist Haru's bones as if playing Extreme Twister. But before she breaks her, Julie-cha and the others appear to save her. Horo asks Kazuna why he is here to save her, and he responds that her Areolas are his greatest treasure. Then, while Julia is attacking Aldea, Aine appears and manages to hit her, which surprises Aldea. Aldea asks about her name and armor, and after finding out, Aldea stops attacking and retreats, summoning the dragon to play with them. While Rora wants to fight again, her armor disappears as her hybrid count drops too low. Suddenly, Hiri appears in a helicopter and drops the love room in front of them, telling Kazuna to sharpen his cucumber and mop the floor with Rororu. He carries her inside and asks if something happened between her and the three-headed dragon. She tells him how she was once in charge of evacuating people to the Tokyo float, but then the three-headed dragon appeared and turned everyone to dust, leaving her helpless. Rora felt guilt for not having done more, saying she should have trained more instead of being at parties and social events. She feels she could have saved more, but Kazuna tells her that despite her failure, she also saved many people, including him the first time they met. Kazuna confesses he knows how it feels to be useless, as he is a pilot who cannot fight, but with Rairu by his side, he feels they can win by obtaining the immoral weapon inside her. Rora relents and agrees to try Climax Hybrid, and the room suddenly changes to Haru's preference. As Kazuna gets to work, Yura feels insecure about the size of her melons. But Kazuna encourages her, saying that a large melon fills a man's hand, but a small melon fills a man's heart. Kazuna goes Johnny Sin style and samples her pancakes, making her achieve heart fusion. The room then changes again with Ryoru changing clothes, but Kazuna continues slowly, leading to Cream City and finally achieving Hybrid Climax. Then Rororu enters the fight and summons her immoral weapon, the Gladius Blade. She goes straight for the dragon, and with her new weapon in hand, she slices the lizard to pieces with one stroke. With the dragon defeated, they try to attack Aldea, but she easily defeats them. While Kazuna has no weapons, he suddenly opens a portal and pulls out Hera's weapon, an effect of doing Hybrid Climax with her. They begin to gain an advantage over Aldea, but she summons another portal with several ships coming out of it. As things look grim, reinforcements come from the sea as the United States team comes to their aid. Just as Aldea is about to start an all-out war, her superior calls her back, demanding her withdrawal. After everything calms down, the group realizes that with her new weapon, Rororu has experienced Kazuna's thunderous pipe. Despite her attempts to defend herself, the girls consider her a degenerate like them. Suddenly, the United States hybrid team appears, boasting that they were the reason the enemies retreated. However, when Julia, an American compatriot, greets their leader Scarlet, she becomes angry and tells Julia to back off. In a dream, Aang sees another world, and visions of her past come to the surface, but before she can see more, she wakes from that nightmare. At HQ, Hiri and Ku discover a way to close the portal and combine the Amaterasu team and the United States team for a joint operation in the cafeteria. While Kazuna is having lunch with Fat McJugger's Yalisha, Scarlet and her team appear to join them to eat. Scarlet begins to provoke Kazuna, asking him about his powers and wanting to test his gear shift lever herself, but Yalisha tells her to stay away from her precious Kazuna. As they argue, Kazuna notices Aang eating alone, but before he can join her, Scarlet pulls him away. Then Yalisha tries to win him back, but since Scarlet refuses to yield, they go to the arcade to compete for Kazuna. They play various games from boxing and shooting to doll grabbing and even singing, but they end up tied, so they take Kazuna to a swimsuit store. There, they show Kazuna their swimsuits to decide who is better, but being petulant, Scarlet tears off Julika's top and takes Kazuna to the dressing room for some alone time. She asks him about Heart Hybrid and asks him to perform the act, but they slip and end up in an intimate position. She covers his mouth to make him stop talking, but in doing so, she begins to make happy noises and activates the hybrid. Afterward, while Kazuna tries to explain himself to Julika, she states that it is fine and walks away, leaving him with Scarlet. He asks Scarlet if she is friends with Julia, and she becomes irritated, stating that Jalisha used them. She tells Kazuna the story of how Julia once sent Scarlet's team to fight a Dragery, which had an impact on the team, but after the Dragery was weakened, Julia appeared, defeated the monster, and took all the credit. Kazuna tries to defend Julia, and this only makes Scarlet even angrier, so she leaves. Julia appears, and after hearing every word, Kazuna asks her for the truth, but Yuli Sha walks away, refusing to answer. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Batlantist, a celebration is happening, and while Aldea eats with her friend Gravel, they reminisce about their past battle against each other. Aldea suddenly becomes fierce and initiates the SNU session with Gravel, and as the session gets spicier, they play until morning and decide to launch another attack. Back at headquarters, Aang is frustrated trying to find files about herself, but then Kazuna enters, offering her some cookies that Sylvia made. While she tries to refuse them, her stomach growls with hunger, proving otherwise. As she is eating the cookies disdainfully, Kazuna tells Aang that, although he does not know her problems, he wants her to talk to him whenever she needs to. Just as Aang is about to tell him about her dream, the alarm sounds, and outside, Gravel appears alone with her warship. The Academy acts quickly, and despite the numerical advantage she faces, Gravel demands that they hand over Aang. The sniper shoots at Gravel, but when she easily dodges, she sees it as an invitation to fight. When Gravel transforms, her power explodes like a nuclear bomb, and when Kazuna and his team arrive, the entire place is destroyed. Scarlet sees her teammates defeated, which leads her to attack Gravel, but Gravel easily handles her rockets and counterattacks with an explosion that requires all of Kazuna's power to block. The girls begin to attack Gravel, unleashing their best moves, but with the knowledge and experience she has about them, Gravel defeats them easily, one by one. Then she approaches the wounded Aang, and despite Aang's best efforts to fight back, Gravel easily controls her. Kazuna gets up, wanting to defend Aang, but Gravel throws him away. Gravel then confronts Aang and offers for her to come along if she wants to know the truth about herself, but Kazuna gets up and orders Gravel not to touch Aang. With her message delivered, Gravel withdraws, and Hiri quickly sends a medical team for them. With Gravel gone, Kazuna collapses and Aang screams his name. A week later, after Kazuna recovers, the team greets him in tears, and Hiri welcomes him back. With the team at full strength, Hiri informs them about Gravel, whom they analyze to be stronger than Aldea, and who is after Aang and her Zero's equipment. Kazuna asks Aang if she knows anything, but she reveals that she does not. Hiri then tells them about the next mission, to reclaim Japan, and while she already has a plan in mind, she informs them that Gravel is there, so they need a different approach. She informs them about Connective Hybrid, which means Kazuna's arrows will perform hot yoga with two pilots at the same time, creating overwhelming energy to give them a chance against Gravel by acquiring an even more powerful immoral weapon. Despite the girls' objections, Hiri convinces them that a two girls, one guy action is what they need and also what you viewers need to see on screen. So Kazuna suggests that Julie-cha and Scarlet be the first. Afterward, Kazuna contacts Scarlet, and she ends up in a hot bath with him and Julie-cha for their training. While she tries to reject this idea, Kazuna uses his reason and says that 2 girls and 1 guy are better than 2 girls in a cup. Julia begins to get friendly with Kazuna, making Scarlet jealous, but she slips and ends up on Kazuna's muscular body. Julie-cha joins, and they put Scarlet in the middle between a soft place and a hard place. The 3 go wild, and with the friction they create, they achieve hard hybrid. However, it is still not enough, so they all go all out. But to deepen their relationship, Kazuna displays images from the past when Scarlet was best friends with Julie-cha. After seeing all the good times she had with Julika, Scarlet hugs her and is now convinced that she did not betray her. With Kazuna's encouragement, Julia reveals that she initially lied and sent Scarlet and her team elsewhere to prevent Scarlet's rockets from hitting the city, but what she did not know was that a dragery would appear where she sent Scarlet's team. However, she admits she took the credit and became the ace of America. But Scarlet now remembers that, although Julia was already injured, she still fought the dragery by her side. With their rift resolved, Julia encourages Scarlet to form a duo with Kazuna together, putting him in a position any man would love to be in. After some cream strokes and several screams of joy, they achieve a connective hybrid through intriguing 2-on-1 actions and increase their power tremendously as they all reach nirvana. Afterward, while Gravel and Aldea wait, Ain appears to attack them and asks if they know who she is. Before they can answer, a stronger Julie-cha and Scarlet appear and order Ain to help Kazuna in other areas, leaving Gravel and Aldea to them. After Ain leaves, they begin the battle and Scarlet starts with force, firing her rockets at them and managing to push them back. However, she was buying time for Julisha to summon her immoral weapon, the Crosshead. With her new tool, Julia goes straight for Gravel and Aldea is there to block her, but Julisha puts her weapon into second gear and fires an even bigger shot, overpowering Aldea's shield and making the enemies fall. While Scarlet and Julia celebrate, Gravel appears carrying an unconscious Aldea and summons her own weapon, the Sworden, to release all her power. She begins to fire like Danny DeVito, but Kazuna appears to block her, though she still manages to hit both Scarlet and Julia, leaving him as the only one fighting. After the connective hybrid he performed, he transforms with the same power as Julia and flies into the sky, followed by Gravel. While Gravel charges her weapon, he goes Gilgamesh style and summons all the weapons he knows and fires at Gravel, causing them to have a beam clash. Slowly, Gravel nears victory, but Kazuna suddenly summons Scarlet's rockets and launches all of them at Gravel, successfully hitting her and securing victory for him. As both fall, Rora catches Kazuna from the sky, but with her last energy, Gravel crawls to Aldea and they retreat, but she flies past Ain and tells her that she will be hers. Meanwhile, with Gravel and Aldea defeated, all the portals are successfully closed by Hiri and her team, and while the Amaterasu team achieves victory, Ain does not share the same success, still wondering who she really is. Days later, before they begin the invasion to retake Japan, the Academy holds a festival for the students. In class, while Zuna initially gives the boys a lecture on how to stay resilient like David Goggins, the boys demand he cut the boring part and go straight to the more interesting parts. After hearing their request, Kazuna pulls up the data of the girls with whom he performed hot yoga, and there, while the boys are drooling, Kazuna teaches them the tips and tricks for whipping cream, shaping cakes, and squeezing pepperoni. He begins to show the sensitive zones and uses Roru as the example shown in one of their sessions, but Rora herself suddenly enters and blows the place to pieces for his degeneracy. After his lecture, he wants to see the idol girls' rehearsal, but when he gets there, he sees Dixa and Roru in panic. He asks what is wrong, and they explain that, despite their best efforts, they cannot find Ain anywhere, so Kazuna decides to help them. During the search, he finds one of Scarlet's injured teammates, and while wishing her a speedy recovery, he asks if she has seen Ain, to which she answers no. He then goes to a haunted house and asks Sadako if she has seen Ain, but instead of answering, she and all the girls there run away. Suddenly, he sees Sylvia there, who also claims not to have seen Ain, but Kazuna has another idea. He takes her to Julie-cha and Haruai, telling them that if Ain does not appear, Sylvia will take her place, and while Sylvia refuses to do it, Julia pulls her inside and forces her to do a rehearsal. He then goes to the engineering class, but instead of answering his questions, they force him to be a test subject for their new rail cannon, and while they assure him it is safe to use, Kazuna pulls the trigger and everything explodes. He then searches in the manga club where he finds Kei, who is selling spicy Alabama-style comics of Kazuna and Hiri. Although this scares Kazuna, he asks about Ain's whereabouts, and Kei reveals that he does not know. He then goes to a maid cafe managed by Scarlet and her team, and before he can ask about Ain, they sit him down, hand him a menu, and demand he place an order. However, he realizes he does not have time for this and tries to leave, but they hand him a bill and say he either pays or they can take turns with him. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Batlantis, Gravel is being punished as if in 50 Shades because she betrayed her people by hiding Ain's existence from them. Their leader, Zelton, orders his soldiers to prepare the armada to go to Earth and find Ain, even if it means exterminating the humans. Gravel begs him to stay away from Earth, saying that, as she was also once a victim of Batlantis invasion, she does not want the same fate for the humans. However, Zelton does not care and begins the punishment, making Gravel feel both extreme pain and pleasure, driving her senses insane while making her scream and bleed at the same time. Despite the torture, Gravel believes Aldia will save her, but Zelton suddenly pulls the chain and is pulling Aldia, who is now his pet after Zelton ate her cream multiple times. Using his power, Zelton demands that Gravel tell him where Ain is hidden, but just as she is about to go to Earth with his armada, Nada appears and asks for a moment. Back on Earth, it is time for the performance, but with Ain missing, Sylvia takes her place and they perform as a trio. Meanwhile, even with the performance started, Kazuna is still searching for Ain and is worried about her. He finds her alone in a classroom, and when he asks what is wrong, she reveals that every time she performs Heart Hybrid, her memories return, but she does not like what she sees because what she saw was another world. She states that she does not want to do Heart Hybrid anymore, saying she is afraid she will no longer be herself, but Kazuna assures her that Ain will always be Ain to him. When he extends his hand, she remembers the past when she met a younger Kazuna who seemed to want to help her, but unlike before when she ran away, this time she accepts his hand. After calming her, Kazuna takes off her clothes, reveals his plans, and gets to work, leaving us viewers envious. As Kazuna becomes more aggressive with each second, Ain's screams get louder, and when they perform Heart Hybrid, Ain sees the kingdom of Batlantis in her vision, making her freak out and start to convulse. After the concert ends, they suddenly receive an alert. The same happens to Kazuna when Hiri says to gather the Amaterasu because an enemy fleet has appeared. They go straight into the smoke, but when they spot the enemy ship, both Hiri and Kazuna are surprised to see his mother, Nada. Kazuna goes to confront her, asking why she is there, and Nada says she needs to go to Batlantis for her research. Hiri appears and begins to curse Nada, demanding an explanation, but while Nada continues spouting nonsense and refuses to answer, Hiri orders Kazuna to bring Nada back. However, she is only a hologram and tells him to go to Tokyo if they want to see her again. Kazuna asks her how to remove the equipment's core so he can save them, but Nada disappears before answering, and when he tries to reach her, monsters begin to attack him from portals in the sky, but a gear user named Ragers attacks them. Before she can do anything, the ship begins to tremble and flies back to the other world. Back at HQ, Hiri informs them that after seeing her here, she is sure that Nada was the person who sent the Guam signal containing the data that helped them close the portals. With this, Hiri decides that their next mission will be in Tokyo. While the others agree, Ain becomes upset and walks away, but before Kazuna can go after her, Hiri has another task for him. She tells him to choose another member for Amaterasu and shows him the candidates so they can have extra firepower for Tokyo. After seeing the list, Kazuna goes to Sylvia and offers her the role, considering her worthy of joining Amaterasu. While Sylvia is excited, saying it is her dream, Kazuna tells her to reconsider, stating it might be dangerous. However, Sylvia interprets his words as him not wanting her to join, and she runs away upset. After Kazuna chases her and calms her down, he says he does not want to be the captain responsible for her death, but Sylvia begs to join Amaterasu so she can find the parents she lost in London and can fight beside him. So after accepting Sylvia, he takes her to a private room and installs the equipment's core inside her body. The next day, while Ain is alone looking into the abyss, Kazuna comes to talk to her, and without asking, she approaches him. He says she needs to perform Heart Hybrid since her hybrid count is low, but she assures him she is fine and that it was a mistake to confide in him and cry about her pathetic little dreams. Despite Kazuna's concern for her, she walks away, stating she is excited for the mission as the best pilot in the universe, but as she walks away, she feels angry at herself for lying. Meanwhile, Haru is eager to retake Tokyo, and while Julia listens to her vent, Haru tells her that despite her fear, she sees the future with hope because of Kazuna. Julia agrees, and while looking at her photo with Kazuna, she is happy that a Sigma like him can change her. Haru adds that it seems like a new beginning, but Julia wonders if it is also a new beginning for Ain. In the lab, Kazuna looks around to see where it all began and remembers the past when he met Ain, and he told her he would help her find out. With this memory, Kazuna knows that despite her hard shell, she is a crybaby like any other girl. The next morning arrives, and the Tokyo float goes to the real Tokyo for the battle. While the Amaterasu regroup, the alarm begins to sound as the location is being attacked from the ocean. While the soldiers try their best to defend themselves, Scarlet and her team appear, telling Amaterasu to go to Tokyo and take the place back, so they transform like Power Rangers and fly straight to Tokyo. On the way, they encounter some enemies and Kazuna orders them to split up, but before reaching the destination, he is attacked. However, Kazuna manages to dodge and avoid the enemies before landing in a train tunnel. Inside, after he reaches the mission's destination point, he places a signal tracker, and the others do the same, providing HQ with the radar they need. Here he then sends another team to seal the portals while Kazuna exits the tunnel ready for a battle. But he suddenly arrives in Tokyo before the destruction, and this confuses him. Looking around, all he sees is a peaceful snowy day with happy people everywhere, but suddenly Nada appears with an enemy accompanying her. Everything suddenly returns to reality, and Nada explains that what he just saw was magic she used to absorb the life force of a corpse, making their souls see an illusion of the good old days and sending that energy back to Batlantis. She plans to do this with the entire world, but Kazuna has had enough of her crazy experiments and promises to bring her back and force her to explain how to remove the equipment's core from people. She tells him it is impossible because the core they are using is from another world, which now uses their life force instead of Magian. Kazuna realizes everyone is screwed, and as he begins to go crazy, he goes to attack his own mother, only to be blocked by her guard. Suddenly, Ragers appears with more robots, but before Kazuna starts to fight, he realizes he cannot put the people's souls in danger, so he lures Ragers and the monsters elsewhere. Then when the monsters corner Kazuna, he summons the Amaterasu, and the girls appear to help him, destroying the robots, but then Ragers emerges to fight. Minutes later, she manages to defeat Haru and Julie Shaw, leaving Ain alone to buy time for Kazuna to heal the others. However, despite her best efforts, Ragers manages to deal critical damage to Ain, hitting her back, and just for that, Kazuna catches her. Ragers tells them she will take Ain with her while annihilating the rest, but just as she is about to make Kazuna disappear, reinforcements arrive in the form of a transformer, and inside it is Sylvia controlling it. While Ragers gets irritated, she turns this battle into a mecha fight between two dwarf pilots. As the two exchange blows, Sylvia gains the upper hand using her weapons, showing Ragers that one should not bring fists to a gunfight, and despite Ragers' attempts to use her plot armor, Sylvia blows her up, showing that her plot armor is worthless. After being defeated, Ragers begins to thrash about, refusing defeat, and in her final attempt, she turns her robot into a nuclear bomb, destroying everything and leveling Tokyo City. However, Sylvia plans to use her immoral weapon, and while Kazuna tries to stop her, she flies straight into the explosion. With her weapon, Titania, at maximum power, she defuses the explosion using a black hole, absorbing every atom. Then Kazuna checks on Sylvia and praises her for her greatness, while Nada watches from afar, showing interest in Sylvia's hybrid equipment. However, the battle is not over, and while their hybrid counts are low, Hiri appears at a crucial moment and launches a love rune in front of them, telling Kazuna to put his golden pickle into action. Kazuna starts with Ryuru and tells the others to provide support. Meanwhile, Scarlet's entire team is decimated, with her plans exposed by Zelton, and when Scarlet tries to attack her, Zelton appears behind her and gives her the wet dream of a lifetime. In the love room, while Haru is looking at Kazuna's golden peak, Ain continues to get distracted by jealousy, wanting Kazuna only for herself, so they achieve Heart Hybrid, where Haru reaches a more intense climax than before, and this gives her a full hybrid count. Upon exiting the room, Julia teases Haru about her screams being too loud and asks to be next in line for Heart Hybrid. However, a robot appears, but before it can cause any damage, Ain swoops in and takes Kazuna to the love room, cutting in front of Julish's turn for the Almighty Innu. Despite her hybrid count being quite high, Ain demands that Kazuna satisfy her desires, stating that she wants to obtain her immoral weapon by performing oral sex on him and achieving climax. Kazuna transforms the environment into a classroom full of students, following Ain's preference, and begins to advance the plot with Ain, asking her to contain her noises of happiness. The teacher then calls her, and when she goes to the board, she has nothing on underneath, and the students begin to comment on how they can see her plot hole, causing Ain to get even more excited. Ain then hugs Kazuna, calling him an idiot, but she still wants more from him so they can achieve climax hybrid. Meanwhile, while Jalisha and Roro defend the love room, they contact Sylvia. But when she answers, she is making happy noises, which confuses them, and Zelton appears behind them, ready to make them submit and be her pets. Back in the love room, after containing her embarrassment, Ain exits, but Kazuna transforms the room into a stage, stating that the people are here to see her delight herself. He begins to go wild with Ain, refusing to let her rest, and after his incessant touches, she gets close to hybrid climax. In her consciousness, she sees more visions in her younger self, which scares her. They fail to achieve hybrid climax, and while Ain feels guilty and wants to try again, the room is attacked. They run out and see the girls beaten like dolls by Zelton, and she explains that with her power, she sends the girls' souls into the depths of their own nightmares. For Haru, she faces the three-headed dragon, where she fails to save the people she promised to save. For Julika, she cannot save Scarlet and the others for being defeated to death. Zelton offers them the chance to be a source of life force for Batlantis if they surrender, but after seeing the fate of the people of Tokyo, Kazuna tells her she can slip in the shower instead. Zelton then turns her attention to Ain, taunting her about the truth, and she uses her powers to send Ain's soul deep into her own mind and nightmares. With Ain unconscious, Kazuna is left alone but still resists, demanding his harem be returned. As he fights desperately, Zelton wonders how long he will last, so she orders a stronger robot, and it pushes Kazuna back. However, Kazuna uses the power of Ain to destroy these robots. After seeing his tenacity, Zelton gets involved and begins to attack him, wanting him to be her pet. While he is down, his soul still wants to protect the girls and reaches their souls, comforting them from their nightmares. Kazuna gets up, and the Kamen Rider transforms into his gear again, but this time he unlocks a new mode where he can use the power and weapons of each girl. After defeating the robots, he stands face to face with Zelton. While she manages to stab him, he uses it to his advantage and strikes her back, which irritates her. The girls wake up, and while he is distracted, an enraged Zelton destroys his armor. Meanwhile, Ain is following her younger self toward her core and remembers the truth that her core was installed not by Nada but from another world. She then reaches a door that contains her truth, and while her younger self tries to warn her, she opens the door. Back in the battle, Zelton uses her power to make Ain fight Kazuna, but in her consciousness, she sees a young Kazuna trying to save her, but suddenly her soul is hijacked. Her body begins to attack Kazuna, but her soul begs to become one with Kazuna, and because of this, she stops her attack and returns to normal. Ain unlocks her climax form, and before Zelton can get to her, Kazuna blocks her. This time, in her mind, she reaches Kazuna's hand and now unlocks her forbidden weapon, Codebreaker, which destroys all their enemies, frees the people under Zelton's spell, and closes all the portals. Back at HQ, everyone celebrates, and both Hiri and Kei are proud of their success. Back with Ain, she returns to normal, and before the other girls reach them, she holds Kazuna's hand. They then watch the sunset together, but suddenly a new challenger appears.